Saguaro National Park as a next generation ranger, helping organize onboarding and orientation for new staff, coordinating trainings and programs, and supporting outreach and engagement efforts tied to the park's visitor and resource management work. Earlier in her career, Ariana supported the University of Arizona as the Global Health Institute coordinator, helping plan programs and maintain partner communications. And she also served as an HR specialist and HR student employee, as well as completing a Peace Corps training experience as a youth health promoter trainee in Paraguay. And she also has a long history of engagement working with the YMCA. Ariana is a proud University of Arizona graduate, go Wildcats, earning a Bachelor of Science in Care, Health, and Society and a Bachelor of Arts in Mexican American Studies. Please help me welcome Ariana Martinez Reina.
Thank you, Supervisor. Anybody else on that item? All right. Oh, I'm sorry, Supervisor Allen.
Just reaching. So a couple items around just some acknowledgement of some dates. And I think this is a difficult week. Today's January 6th. And I think quoting from Robert Reich, what happened 5 years ago today is one of the most shameful days in American history. We must not allow President Trump to persuade the country that it did not happen or that he was innocent, or let him deflect attention from what actually happened that day. The FBI estimates that 2,000 to 2,500 people entered the Capitol building in that attack, some of whom participated in vandalism and looting, including the offices of members of Congress. Rioters assaulted Capitol police officers. They occupied the empty Senate chamber while federal law enforcement officers defended the evacuated House floor. Within 36 hours, 5 people died. 1 was shot by Capitol Police. Another died of a drug overdose. 3 died of heart attacks and strokes, including a police officer who died the day after being assaulted by rioters. Many were injured, including 174 police officers. 4 other officers who responded to the attack died by suicide within 7 months. We must never forget this day so that, as former Vice President Mike Pence hoped, history will hold Donald Trump accountable. Also this week is January 8th. It's been 15 years since in January 8th, 2011, United States Representative Gabby Giffords and 18 others were shot. During a Congress on Your Corner event held in Tucson supermarket parking lot. 6 people were killed, 15 were injured. Those who were killed were Christina Taylor Greene, my friend Gabe Zimmerman, John Roll, Dorothy Dot Morris, Dorwin Stoddard, Phyllis Schneck. And among the 15 injured were my friends Ron Barber and Pam Simon, as well as 2 spouses of those who were killed. According to Johns Hopkins, guns continue to remain the leading cause of death for children and teens, disproportionately affecting people of color. And despite this horrific cost in human life here and now across the country, enduring trauma to survivors, there's been no significant gun control legislation, including gun sales. Also before our next meeting is January 19th. Thank you. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King holiday. So from 10 to 3 p.m. at Reed Park, there's the annual celebration. And one of my poignant quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King is that for right now, our lives begin to end on the day we become silent about things that matter. I also wanted to flag Arizona Attorney General Chris May's town hall in Tucson on January 13th at 11 a.m. The YWCA to hear residents' opinions on TEP's request for a 14% rate increase. And then lastly, District 3 has got some office hours coming up. We'll be in 3 Points tomorrow from 3 to 6 p.m. at the Hub. We will be on Saturday in Ajo from 10 to 1 at the Plaza. And then we'll be in Sahuarita on January 13th from 10 to 1 at the Sahuarita Food Bank. Thank you. Those are all my announcements.
Thank you, Supervisor Allen, for your very moving and timely remarks. It would be appropriate at this time for me to let everybody in the public and media know that the county will be leading a remembrance ceremony on Thursday, January 8th, at the memorial behind the historic courthouse. And we're going to be privileged to hear remarks from former Congressman Ron Barber, who, as Supervisor Allen said, was grievously wounded 15 years ago, and also from Mayor Romero. So thank you again, Supervisor. I know that wasn't easy, but we appreciate you reminding us of all those important events and what we need to take from them. Okay, let's go to item number, unless there was anybody else for item number 5. No? All right, thank you. For item number 6, we have agenda adjustments. We'll turn it back to Ms. Manriquez.
On the regular agenda, page 3, item 11, under executive session. This item will be heard at a time certain of 12 p.m. Page 5, item 19, under county administrator. This is unfinished business from December 16th, 2025. Contract with the city of South Tucson. The Pima County Attorney's Office requests this item be continued to the Board of Supervisors meeting of February 3rd. On the addendum agenda, page 1, item 1, under Board of Supervisors, dates and times for Board of Supervisor meetings. Supervisor Allen requests this item be heard with regular agenda item number 17, which is the addition of study sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Manriquez. I'm going to make an adjustment to the agenda. The next item would be number 7, which is oath of office, our procedural organization, which we do at the beginning of each calendar year. Was also hoping to consider item number 18 at the same time. But before we get to those items, which may take some time, we have 2 employee recognitions that the county administrator and her team have organized. The first one is the recognition of the retirement of David Sanders, Chief Probation Officer, Pima County Adult Probation, for 22 years of service. And I will turn it over to Ms. Lesher at this time.
Thank you very much, Chair Scott. And I would like to ask, I think the court administrator, Mr. Overholt is here, Ms. Urias also from the courts, because to actually make the presentation to Mr. Sanders, and I'm sure if the board would like to join them all, that would be terrific.
Absolutely.
We'll carry that forward.
Well, thank you for this recognition of Chief Sanders. This is the 3rd stop on Chief Sanders' long career of 50 years. He's been with us 22, but he was started out his career in probation in Kansas City and worked his way up from a line probation officer and then became the Chief Probation Officer for the federal courts in Las Vegas. And I always hesitated to ask him anything about his client list because I really didn't want to know who might be on probation in Las Vegas. But he finished that career and then came here and distinguished himself as the finest chief probation officer in our state and one of the best in the nation. So we're honored to have been able to work with him. His shoulders are already raised up from being retired for 4 days, no tie. But thank you to the board and Ms. Lesher for honoring him.
Thank you very much. I'm humbled and honored to receive this recognition. But the overarching reason for my being here is to thank all of you. You've given, in my almost 23 years here as Chief Probation Officer, I've had a great staff. I've had the support of the board. I've had the support of Superior Court judges. I've had the support of court administration and county administration, and as well as criminal justice stakeholders and the county attorney's office, the sheriff, the police department, so on and so forth. So with that, after actually 54 years as a probation officer as of last week, I'm hanging it up and taking very fond memories into retirement. Thank you very much. Thanks for, you've actually been in my office. First was elected. Got around. Yep. We got one more. Yeah, I'm just going up.
So I'll get it. You guys want to stay there? I'm just going up. Oh, thanks. I will. Yes. Thank you. So our second employee recognition is recognition of the retirement of Mary Ruiz, Judicial Administrative Assistant with the Superior Court for 25 years of service to Pima County.
Well, thank you again to the board and to Ms. Lesher for honoring Mary Ruiz, who has dedicated 25 years of her life to Superior Court and to the citizens of Pima County. She most recently has been a judicial administrative assistant in our probate department and reviewing probate files and making recommendations to the court on future activities for folks that are going through probation or on conservatorship and those types of activities. So it's a very important role that she's had. She's here bright and early every morning. We run into each other at the elevator about 7 a.m. and she's here bright and early and chipper, and she's been fantastic for 25 years. So let's give our appreciation to Mary.
I just want to thank everybody here for all their support, and it's quite an honor to be recognized in this manner. Didn't prepare anything. I just want to thank you, everybody, for their guiding me on this journey at Pima County Superior Court. And I know somebody made a faux pas a little while ago about surviving human resources. I survived Pima County Superior Court, but in the best way ever. So I want to thank everybody for this recognition.
Yep.
Social media not being accurate?
All right, thank you all very much. Let's go now to agenda item number 7. This is Board of Supervisors procedural organization. It's something that we take on at the beginning of each calendar year. And we will have 2 separate votes, one for chair, one for vice chair. Any nominations? Supervisor Kano.
Thank you, Chair Scott. I want to begin my comments by recognizing our current chair, Supervisor Rex Scott of District 1, and thank him for an exceptional year of service. I joined this board in April of last year, but my respect for Chair Scott and his leadership goes back much further. I have watched his career in public service since his election in 2020, and he has been a steady community leader, a bridge builder, and a public servant who shows up with seriousness and care for the people he represents. District 1 and District 5 do not always see the world the same way. But what has always stood out to me is Chair Scott's willingness to lead beyond district lines, to stay grounded in his constituents' needs, while also leaning into what is best for all of Pima County. I also believe Chair Scott's background as an educator, a principal, and a school administrator shaped the way that he chaired this board. In schools, you learn quickly that progress is rarely about winning arguments. It is about building trust, setting expectations, and bringing people together to solve problems that do not wait. Chair Scott brought that same discipline to this chamber. Under his leadership, we passed a balanced budget in June and maintained a neutral primary property tax rate, an outcome that I asked him to pursue with urgency early in my tenure because I felt that mandate was clear from the public. And under his leadership, we achieved something exceptional, a unanimous 5-0 vote for that budget adoption, something that I have not seen from this board in recent memory. So I want to also acknowledge Supervisor Christie for joining us in that majority vote, and I hope that we can keep finding that kind of common ground in the year ahead. Chair Scott, you have helped us set a tone of engagement that extended beyond these chambers. We hosted a joint meeting with the City of Tucson to confront urgent public safety challenges, including fentanyl and the opioid crisis, alongside the realities of unsheltered homelessness. That partnership is not a finish line. It is a foundation, and I'm looking forward to building on it because our constituents expect coordination, accountability, and results. Most importantly, Chair Scott led with a clear understanding of the moment we are in. Across this country, local governments are being asked to do more, often with fewer tools and less certainty from federal and state partners. Chair Scott helped lay the groundwork for a continued honest conversation about what it means for Pima County to take care of our community, protect our public health, and keep families safe when other levels of government fall short. Today, we are preparing for a leadership transition. That is a healthy part of governance, and it reflects both the responsibility and the privilege of serving here. Our board rules outline one-year terms for all leadership positions. It ensures shared responsibility, fresh perspectives, and a board that remains focused on outcomes rather than titles. I intend to uphold that precedent during my time on this board because stability is not about any one person. It is about the institution doing its work with consistency and integrity. So Chair Scott, on behalf of District 5, thank you for your steady leadership, your calm under pressure, and your commitment to representing our county with honor and distinction. You served us well, and I look forward to continuing to work alongside you in the year ahead.
Supervisor Kano, thank you. Thank you all. It's been a genuine privilege to lead the board through 2025, and I'm deeply moved by all of your remarks today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair Scott. With that, I am proud to nominate my colleague, Supervisor Jennifer Allen, to serve as Chair of the Pima County Board of Supervisors for the incoming year. In the time we have served together, Supervisor Allen has shown exactly what you want in a chair. She's prepared, focused, and serious about the work before us. The homework gets done in advance. The questions are sharp, the listening is close, and the comments come from the heart. This nomination reflects the depth of experience Supervisor Allen brings to this board after a lifelong career spent in environmental and social justice, turning community values into action. I'm also nominating Supervisor Allen because she brings the perspective of District 3, a large rural district that is essential to Pima County's identity and future. District 3 includes communities that often have to fight harder to be seen and heard in county government. Families living far from services most of us take for granted, residents facing long drives for healthcare and basic needs, and communities that feel the pressure of growth, drought, and infrastructure gaps in real time. That vantage point matters for a board chair because it forces us to govern for the whole county, urban and rural, incorporated and unincorporated, and to do it with urgency and fairness. Supervisor Allen has brought a tone to this dais that matters right now, steady and solutions-oriented. She is ready for this responsibility, and she has earned it. For those reasons, I'm honored to nominate Supervisor Jennifer Allen for chair.
There's a nomination of Supervisor Allen to serve as chair for 2026. Is there a second?
I will second.
Seconded by Supervisor Hines. Discussion on the motion. Supervisor Christie. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were turning on your microphone.
I was.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, with that passes with a vote of 401 with Supervisor Christie abstaining. Congratulations, Supervisor Allen. And based on the board's procedures, Supervisor Allen's first meeting to chair will be our next one on January 20th. We're now going to go to nominations for vice chair. Are there any nominations? Supervisor Allen.
I would like to nominate Supervisor Hines as vice chair. Supervisor Hines brings tenure on this board, having served on the board, experience as a state legislator, experience as a medical professional, as we unfortunately continue to encounter health crises upon health crises, and experience as a local business owner. I also think that Matt is kind of the colibri. He's sort of the hummingbird energy level to sort of my kind of lower level. Matt is endlessly full of ideas and energy, committed to figuring out ways to strengthen our county and to address the many layered needs that our county residents have. So with that, I would nominate my peer.
And I will happily second that motion. Supervisor Hines and I joined the board at the same time. I consider him not just an important colleague, but a valued friend. And I appreciate that the business that he owns is in District 1. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain.
The motion passes 401 with Supervisor Christie abstaining. Congratulations, Supervisor Hines.
Thank you.
And Supervisor Hines will also take on his responsibilities as the vice chair at our next meeting on January 20th.
Darn, missed it again.
Duly noted. Let's go to item number 18, just so we can take care of all of our organizational decisions at the beginning of the meeting. This is appointment of board members to boards, commissions, boards, committees, and commissions. And as Supervisor Cano pointed out, this board has always, well, not always. I think we started in either our second or third year, Supervisor Hines, having these appointments be voted on by the board.
Right.
In the past, they used to be decided by the board chair.
Right.
But I think we began under Supervisor Grijalva's leadership to have these be decided each year at the beginning of our organizational discussions. So the first one is Arizona Border Counties Coalition. Any nominations for this position?
I would like to nominate Supervisor Allen.
And Supervisor Allen, who currently serves in that position, is nominated to be retained in that position. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Kano. Discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. The second appointment is for the Legislative Policy Committee of the County Supervisors Association. Do we have any nominations for that position? Supervisor Hines.
I would like to nominate you, Chair Scott, to continue in your service at the CSA.
Thank you very much. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Kano. The only discussion that I will offer is that I am the president-elect of CSA. I will be the president in 2027, and all officers are automatically members of the Legislative Policy Committee unless their county colleagues decide to go in a different direction. And I appreciate the consideration that we move forward with me in this role. Any other discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. The next one is Pima Association of Governments and Regional Transportation Authority. There is a regional council for the Pima Association of Governments. There's a board for the Regional Transportation Authority. The 9 members of one are the 9 members of the other. Any nominations for that position?
I'll nominate Supervisor Hines.
Supervisor Hines, who currently serves in that position, is nominated by Supervisor Allen. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Supervisor Kano. Discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Abstain?
This passes 401 with Supervisor Christie abstaining. So that passes. And Supervisor Hines, we know this is a particularly important year with the special election coming up in March. So thank you for your willingness to continue serving in this role. Sure. The next one is the Chamber of Southern Arizona. They're in their first year, having merged Sun Corridor Incorporated with the Metro Chamber of Southern Arizona. We are the most significant jurisdictional member of the Chamber of Southern Arizona, and so we have a position on both the Board of Directors and the Executive Board. Do we have nominations for that position?
I would like to nominate you, Chair Scott, to continue your service there.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Kano. Discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. The next position is for the board's liaison with Visit Tucson. Do we have a nomination for that position?
I would like to nominate that District 5 Supervisor Kano continue in his role at Visit Tucson.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. The next is the recently renamed Southern Arizona Education Council. From the early 90s, it was the Metropolitan Education Commission. It is a joint city and county commission, which recently was moved by the board to include Santa Cruz County. Is there a motion for representation on the Southern Arizona Education Council?
I would like to nominate Supervisor Allen.
All right. Moved by Supervisor Hines. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Supervisor Kano. Discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. Next is Board of Health. Do we have a nomination, Supervisor Kano?
I would like to nominate Dr. Hines.
All right, Dr. Hines is nominated, and I will second that. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. And finally, this is new, the Tucson Pima Collaboration to End Homelessness, which is our local HUD designated continuum of care. And there are roles that are played by both the city, the county, and our private sector partners within TPCH. TPCH has requested that the county nominate somebody from both the Sheriff's Department, and I believe that Elsa Navarro was selected by Sheriff Nanos for that role, and they also asked that a member of the board be appointed. Do we have a nomination for that position?
I would like to nominate my colleague from District 5.
Supervisor Kano is nominated. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, so we are organized for 2026. All right. Let's go now to item number 10 on the agenda, which is call to the public. And I will read the Board of Supervisors rules and regulations for call to the public, which, by the way, have been in place since December of 2020. Citizens attending the meeting shall observe rules of propriety, decorum, and good conduct. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, or who becomes boisterous while addressing the board, may be removed by the sergeant at arms if directed by the chair. Such person may be barred from further audience before the board. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistling yells, and similar demonstrations shall not be permitted by the chair, who may direct offenders from the hearing room. And we have a total of 10 speakers, which means that each speaker will have 3 minutes. We do have, to kick us off, 2 telephonic speakers. The first one is Trista DeGeneva. Ms. DeGeneva, if you are on the line, you have 3 minutes to address the Board of Supervisors.
Good morning, Board. In a parallel universe, one where accountability still functions, I would be sitting on the dais with you. Instead, I'm here as a resident, a declared candidate for sheriff, and an independent presidential candidate for 2028. If we have elections, bringing you a record of systemic abuse of power that demands immediate action. I am here to address 3 urgent matters. First, I'm formally notifying this board that I am building and will prevail in civil actions that may effectively put the Pima County Sheriff's Department, Pima Animal Care Center, and the Pima County Attorney's Office out of business as currently constituted due to their joint participation in a highly illegal, unlawful, and unconstitutional raid on my private property on August 30th, 2023. That raid was conducted without probable cause, with excessive force, and in flagrant violation of the 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendment. Between 30 and 60 armed officers, I originally counted 30, later confirmed it may have been closer to 60, occupied my property for 12 hours, yet failed to record the entire operation as required by law. I genuinely believe that I might be killed. And P.S. I was 12 charged in Pima County Jail. Second, these same agencies sent fabricated evidence, falsified reports, and maliciously conspired to deprive me of my liberty, culminating in an unlawful involuntary psychiatric commitment on October 30th, 2023, despite no evidence of mental illness, no danger to myself or others, and no legal basis. That is not law enforcement. That is abuse of state power. Let me be clear. The lead detective, Teddy Min, did not have charges after the raid. So instead of closing the case, he solicited a crime, calling a veterinarian a week later to retroactively manufacture allegations. That is documented. It is in their own report. My animals, prize-winning items, Samani chickens, therapy, and service animals I bred and cared for over years with 24/7 devotion. My animal family was unnecessarily and cruelly seized. Despite numerous eyewitnesses and overwhelming photo and video evidence proving they were healthy and well cared for, 2 weeks later, while in county custody, those animals were mistreated to fabricate evidence, which was then uploaded into the system. Again, this is according to their own report. Their own reports also confirmed that my service dog, Dr. Baker, and my cat were perfectly healthy, yet they were seized anyway. That is an institutional animal cruelty and a direct violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. This is not just misconduct. This is what I'm calling the worst documented case of an institutional animal cruelty in American history. Third, because of all this, I'm calling formally and publicly for the removal of the heads of the following agencies: the Sheriff's Department, PAC, Pima County Attorney's Office. I have already provided this board and the Tucson City Council with a resolution calling for the removal of Sheriff Fernandez, not only for my case, for his pattern of willful blindness, including his failure to act after what residents now know was.
Ms. DeGeneva, your time has expired. Thank you very much. Our next telephonic speaker is Glenda Avalos. Ms. Avalos, if you are on the line, you have 3 minutes to address the Board of Supervisors.
Buenos dias. My name is Glenda Avalos. I live in District 5, and I am also part of Casa Maria. We are living in a time where laws and legal process are openly being violated by the current federal administration, and they cannot be trusted to follow policies and procedures. Privacy protections need to be protected at a local level. We have no other choice than to trust you to lead. Thank you for asking multiple questions, but there has to be 100% certainty that they are all answered correctly. It would be preferably, in an ideal world, confirmed by a non-biased expert. We want to go ahead and highlight Pima County Deputies Organization letter to you. It says in here that the supervisors and at the last meeting, you guys all expressed your concern over privacy. The letter says, our public agency is rapidly becoming engineered by a private corporation. Soon we will be too entangled with Exxon that the consequences of breaking free will be too high. The most financial sound investments the board can make, we believe, is not in gadgets from Scottsdale, but talent. Experienced people in Pima County. The most vulnerable thing deputies have is not training or equipment, but experience. I end with this. Protect our privacy. Put people over any other AI influence that is coming, as well as threats. Vote no on item 31. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Avalos. We now have our in-person speakers. I'll go ahead and read the names of the first 3 speakers. When you hear your name, you're welcome to come down here and wait for your turn. Our first 3 speakers are Dave Smith, Florence Johnson, and Sandy Wilson. Mr. Smith.
I was coming to talk about the sheriff's issues here, but I just hope the next year isn't a constant monologue of leftist rants, but let's hope that we can conduct this professionally here. The sheriff's department is, of course, in a circuitous spending spree because of the nature of technology. I'm not a Luddite. Using my position as a law enforcement video producer, writer, expert, spokesman, I've always advocated right from the beginning when Taser was first being developed, did many programs enhancing their marketing, as well as all the others from firearms training systems, you name it, from new firearms. I've always been in that forefront, but problem I see is we end up in a technological psych ward where we're like, I got to have the new technology. And what Smith did when he developed Axon, not only did he build a technology that is very advanced, and I promoted certainly that it was starting back in the 90s, the camera concepts. The problem is it's got a huge storage backlog. It's hard to save it. It's hard to store it. And you understand, as many jurisdictions around the nation require an extended time period for them to hold that data, that video. He built his own cloud, and so now you're in a circuitous situation where it's a monopolistic pay. I'm all for technology, but the men and women of that agency come first. It's like saying, look, our football team is 0-11, but we're going to buy new helmets and shoulder pads that are the best there is. And that's not going to improve the performance of your team. Deputies are leaving wholesale the sheriff's department. When I was a young rookie cop 51 years ago out here on Speedway, and we're in the middle of a major fight at one of our bars back then, which, by the way, was really rowdy. Then you always love to hear dispatch say the SO is en route, sheriff's deputies are en route. And now I wonder how encouraged they would be to do that because of the liabilities, because of the lack of administrative support. You are their administrators. I ask you to look at this rationally and say to yourself, how does this advocate for the personnel? How does this improve the performance of the agency? And again, we need to find out how long does this cycle or this track of reinvestment going to occur, because it is a money hungry system, as you know, trying to get a data network here as well. Anyway, guys, Let's make sure, I know we have a board full of activists here, but you also represent the taxpayers. Think about our funding. Think about our expenses. Husband our resources. I've been saying that for years now. I hope you think about that. Husband those resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Lauren,
Mr. Smith, is this your
don't
dog?
forget your dog.
I usually have him tied to me.
Very social.
Oh, did he fall in love with you? He is a tramp there. Rescues, they're liable to. That wasn't recorded, was it? My wife-
For posterity, Dave. Lawrence Johnson. Ms. Johnson, good morning, and you have 3 minutes to address the board.
Okay. So thank you for this opportunity to have a public statement. I appreciate all of your service in serving as elected officials. I think it's really important to think about item 31 as an extremely large increase in the sheriff's budget. He's barely 5 years into a 10-year contract with Axon Services, and that contract was for $26.5 million. The contract that you were being asked to approve by the sheriff and by Ms. Lesher and by the IT department in Pima County is a $45 million 10-year contract. So it extends the contract to 2036. Axon's in Scottsdale. So this revenue, which would be $4.4 million a year paid to Axon for 10 years, will go to a company in Scottsdale who they'll be collecting sales tax on that. And so that money is going to be going out of our county to another county. That's taxpayer money that's funding this. I think anytime a contract is 70%, more than 70% increase, that it should be put out for competitive bid, all the components of that contract. I think it's fiscally irresponsible not to put it out to bid. I think there should be some kind of rule that the Pima County Supervisors has that would say that if there's more than, say, a 40% increase in a contract extension or a contract that's being proposed, that there should be an opportunity to have other bidders on all the components of that contract. Tucsonians will lose administrative positions because many processes will be automated by this new Axon technology, the servers, the tasers that can shoot electricity and probes 40 feet, 10 times. It's a public health risk, Dr. Hines. People who are in psychological crisis or abusing substances don't respond to tasers the way other people do. But there's also the surveillance technology. And I'm a proponent of Amendment 4 of the Constitution, protecting privacy and a right to
Thank you, Ms.
non-surveillance.
Johnson. Sandy Wilson. And Ms. Wilson is followed by Robert Royce, Amy Bass, and Vivek Barathan.
Good morning. My name's Sandy Wilson. I am a volunteer with Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve, ESGR, and I'm here today for a short presentation to Dr. Hines. The Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve was established in 1972 as an organization to bridge a gap between civilian employers and the military, the Guard, and the Reserve. We serve three purposes. We're a group of about 4,000 volunteers. We serve three purposes. We educate, we award, and we solve conflicts. Today I'm here to recognize there's a sergeant named Shaliqua McCoy that works for Dr. Hines, and she nominated Dr. Hines for this award for being a patriotic employer. Now, it's very, very important since our military is comprised of about 40% of Guard and Reserve. So if we don't have our civilian employers backing us up, I say us because I'm retired National Guard also, backing us up, our country would fail. So it's people like Pima County that back up our Guard and Reserve, specifically Dr. Hines for backing up Sergeant McCoy and her feeling of comfort when she is deployed or when she's called to active duty. And so she nominated for you for this prestigious award. And it reads, from the Office of Secretary of Defense, Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve, recognize Dr. Matt Hines, Pima County Board of Supervisors, as a patriotic employer for contributing to national security and protecting liberty and freedom by supporting employer participation in America's National Guard and Reserve Force. It's signed by both the Executive Director of the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve and the National Chair for the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. And sir, I thank you for your support.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, Dr. Hines. You bet. Mr. Royce, you have 3 minutes to address the Board of Supervisors.
This first meeting that I can remember where all 5 members were here at the onset of the meeting, so I appreciate that. Let me thank formally Supervisor Allen and Supervisor Cano for standing up to the powerful interests of the data center. I literally, in 23 years of attending meetings here, I haven't really seen 2 members of the majority stand up to the chair before, literally. So you're plowing new ground here. I appreciate it. We need clean industry and low water use industry in this town, and we should have from the beginning been focused on that, and we wouldn't be in this position right now. It's my opinion that if we put out a wanted signal to clean industry and low water industry, they would come. But we have not done that. We're throwing out a broad net for anyone, and that's just wrong since we're out of water. To Supervisor Christie, you ran and are basically a laissez-faire Republican, and your vote on this issue is in keeping with the principles that you put out when you ran for election twice, and I appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that you're very often the only voice for financial responsibility on this board. So thank you for that. I hold no grudge against you standing up for the principles that you stood up for all your life. As to the 2 former Democrats on this board, once again, I must reiterate, we need clean industry and low water use industry. And if we ask for it and we specifically recruit that, they will come because they want to live in a clean environment. But half the people here at least are here because of the quality of life. And when you degrade that, then you're doing wrong to all of us. And it is not in the interests of financial development here. So once again, thank you for the 3 minutes. And well, I got 28 seconds left. I will be circulating a petition to put my Jefferson party on the City of Tucson ballot with everything I've been speaking of today in mind. 2,000 signatures, and we'll have a new party on the ballot and a real competition in the next elections in 2027. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Royce. Amy Bass.
Thank you very much. And also thank you all for your service. Earlier, Supervise, well, I'm going to say, my name is Amy Bass. I'm the Executive Director of Prevention, and I'm here representing Portable Practical Educational Preparation, PEP Inc., with the Amato Youth Center today. And earlier, Supervisor Allen, you mentioned something about Mike Pence, and I just wanted to say it struck a chord with me because I remember that day clearly, and I remember watching our vice president stand there and resist peer pressure. And it just struck me how all of you, being people of conviction in every day of your life, giving to serve in the best way that you know possible at whatever level of government that you are at. And I've been in these rooms many times watching people come to address you. Some very agitated, upset about things, and understanding you as human beings, wanting to do the best job for the people that have elected you. So I remember that day, and I remember the resistance of peer pressure. That is something that we teach in our programs to youth. So I know that all of you are pressured in multiple ways every day. So thank you. And someone made the joke about surviving, and you are all survivors. So thank you so much. I do want to say that our Amato Youth Project is the result of a cooperation between Pima County, PEP, and Sahuarita Unified School District. And having the new Amato Youth Center is the greatest gift that we could give this rural area. And you spoke earlier about how rural communities are often lacking in resources, and sometimes out of sight, out of mind. Sometimes we forget. So I want to thank Supervisor Allen for when you first came in office to coming down and seeing what we're doing, seeing the kids in action, understanding those little hearts and minds that we are shaping and forming for the future, so that they too can have an opportunity to contribute to their community. I have with me today Angelica Martinez, who is our local Amato Youth Center coordinator. She works every day with these children. Many of them come from families in dire need, a lot of stress and a lot of trauma. And so thank you for your investment in managing the opioid settlement funds. I know that that is another task for you to all undertake and oversee that process. We are grateful that we have the funds to help all of our communities across Arizona. So thank you very much for your consideration of the Amato Youth Center. And we brought some pictures of the kids need to know. You should see where your funds are going.
Thank you, Ms. Bass. And if you want to give those items, well, you can give them to Supervisor Christie, sure. I was going to say you could give them to someone from the clerk's office, but Supervisor Christie will pass them down to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Barathan. And Mr. Barathan is followed by our last two speakers, Jennifer Stern and JP Salvatierra.
Hi, everyone. Your greetings. Good to see you back. I don't think I'm the only one in this room. Should I wait? Should I wait? Should I wait?
You're fine.
I don't think I'm the only one in this room who's learned the hard way that you don't buy something just because it's on sale when you have other plans for that money. And I think that's what's happening here with item 31, the Axon contract. So I'm asking you to vote no on that. There's the matter of the Pima County Deputy Organization's letter that Glenda already pointed out. And apart from the budgetary line, which is, a huge amount of money, an extra $4.5 million a year over 10 years. I do think there's a broad perspective in this room about the role of local law enforcement. But I also think that perspective narrows when it comes to federal law enforcement and the role of the federal government currently as it is, in terms of their commitment to criminalizing dissent, which is on the record. And I know that during the last meeting when it came up as far as what happens to the data and how the federal government could potentially obtain the data, this is less, I think my concern is less about data breaches and illegal methods to obtain that data as much as it is legal methods to obtain that data, right? We have a case in Oregon from late last year where Oregon has a sanctuary policy in place And despite that, the federal government issued a subpoena. It went to the courts, and the courts sided with the federal government and ordered the state of Oregon to hand over that data, even though they didn't want to, right? So what the sheriffs told you at the last meeting about owning the data, having control of the data, none of that is really relevant if the federal government decides to obtain that data. I just wanted to share a quick story. Over the holidays, I got a letter from my former employer, the University of Pennsylvania, that their data had been breached and my social security number had been compromised. And the funny thing about that is I haven't worked for Penn since 2013. Why did they still have my social security number on file? Right? Like, what are the policies that you're sure of in terms of how this data is stored, the data retention policies? Like, do you know everything about how this data will be handled and what it is and what's in there before voting for this? So I'm encouraging you to vote no because of the potential it has to fall into the wrong hands, and because this is a huge budgetary oversight. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Jennifer Stern.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Stern, and I'm a resident of Tucson, and I am thankful for being here, and thanks for listening to what I have to say today. My background is filmmaking. I have a degree in that. I'm an expert marketing specialist and strategist. I also work on a podcast called Race Remix, and I not only do translation sometimes, but I also transcript the audio. So Axon, part of its services is to provide speech to text with their body cameras, etc. I want to ask you personally, and you don't have to answer, but how many times have you done speech to text to your phone and it's gotten it wrong? Probably every time. And that also depends on, I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary Coded Bias. It's a really great documentary. I highly recommend it. But it talks about how someone who was at MIT studying facial recognition technology, she was Black and she wasn't able to see her face at all. But when she put a white mask on, she was able to get recognized by the cameras. Since then, the technology has improved, but the bias hasn't been solved with this technology. Same with speech to text. So in another occurrence with Axon, it recorded some kind of background information or speech, and within the police report, it made up this whole story about a frog and this magical scenario. And what we're dealing with now is we don't have the speech to tech, the technology for speech to text, where it's going to be able to pick up different voices. And so therefore, it can create so many errors that gives police officers more time having to decipher what they need to put in their police report. And so this automation technology is not good. It's not helpful, and it's going to cause more problems than help in the situation. Not only that, mass surveillance is not the answer. What we need is more training for officers, for them to learn Spanish and different languages, and then also employ other people who provide translation services to help those people who are in those situations. Not only that, mass surveillance is a huge problem here with ALPRs. People can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. They can, and then there's also bias behind that technology. It's coded bias. And so I hope that you consider what I'm saying in this decision and say no to Axon.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Sabatera.
Chairman Scott, Supervisors, Attorney Administrator Lesher, Attorney Brown, I'm grateful to be here today to speak with you. I'm welcoming a new year with fresh eyes and a clear slate, and actually thinking about how to mitigate any infringement of your authority in a way that creates duress, whether it be by adverse influence from some other direction that is unforeseen, or that comes up in executive session. I remember just the last meeting, Supervisor Christie mentioned something about staying in open, public, full disclosure rather than going into executive session. And I commend you for that. Actually, I think the whole thing ought to be abandoned. Executive session is non-disclosure to the public at large. Executive session is non-disclosure to the public at large. Your non-disclosure agreement is incomplete. If you use it, you must declare that the public has the right to confirm your guidance, your privilege to be in office to represent us. It's not a right, it's a privilege. And with that comes your reciprocity to the general public. That's in the doctrine of public trust. And I'm sure we can all agree with that. So with that in mind, if there's new technology to do that, that I can conceive of and bring to you later, which I already have in mind, we can champion that direction. And none of my friends on this board, anyone else behind you that creates policy, will ever feel that they are jeopardized by their own conscience. The other thing I really need to identify is the fact that we're in a time when the federal government or even the World Health Organization may not have the public's best interests at heart, because we're dealing with a for-profit pharmaceutical industry that has a model of income and return. And some years they can't get the right influenza to the people properly. And even the health services here in Pima County, if you ask for a spray flu virus, you can't get it. Oh, they'll give you the shot.
Thank you,
That's
sir.
it. Take care.
Thank you. You as well. Mr. Salvatierra being our final speaker, I'm going to close call to the public and ask my colleagues if any of them would like to request additional information from staff on any item presented, requested an item be put on a future agenda, or respond to a criticism. Hearing none, call to the public is closed. Item number 11 is an executive session, but we're going to take that up at a time certain of 12 p.m. So we're going to move to the Board of Supervisors sitting as other boards. First board that we'll sit as is the Flood Control District Board. So we're going to take up item number 12. This is a contract, youth outdoor experience doing business as Ironwood Tree Experience to provide for the community water program. I'll move the item.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion. I had a couple of questions for Ms. Lesher or anyone she might want to designate to respond to them. If you look at the program goals and predicted outcomes, I really appreciate that this is a program that will fund ITE to run workshops providing 20 teachers and up to 100 high school students from low-income and disadvantaged area schools the opportunity to participate in environmental trainings hosted at flood control district green infrastructure project sites. The program will provide paid workforce development opportunities to participants through hands-on engagement with future and existing neighborhood-scale stormwater projects funded by the district. There's also going to be collaboration between the Regional Flood Control District and the Department of Community and Workforce Development through their youth workforce programs. If you look further down on the BOSAIR, under the section that says provide information that explains how this activity supports the selected prosperity initiatives. It's noted that 2 of the cross policy initiatives, preventing and reducing crime, addressing climate resilience and environmental justice, are addressed by this item. So is one of the singular policies prioritizing workforce development for underserved populations. I just wanted to know if we could hear back, and it doesn't need to be today, Ms. Lesher, but is this the kind of model that can be adopted by other departments in terms of moving forward some of the prosperity initiative policies, especially the cross policy items? And I wonder if that's something where you could follow up with Dr. Schaefer and get back to the board as to whether or not this is a model that could be deployed in other areas. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from board members? All right, all those in favor of item number 12 indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Item passes 4-1 with Supervisor Christie opposed. Also sitting as the Flood Control District Board, we're going to consider another contract. This is with Tucson Clean and Beautiful Incorporated to provide for the Nature Works program. I'll move the item.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
All right, item passes 4-1 with Supervisor Christie opposed. We're now moving into back to sitting as the Board of Supervisors. We're now going to take up some hearings. The first one is for a liquor license. And by the way, just for the public's knowledge, we make recommendations as the local entity, but it is ultimately a decision of the Department of Liquor Control at the state level as to whether or not any of these licenses are actually approved. If there is nobody here to address this item, and is there? Okay, there is not. I'll move to close the public hearing and recommend approval of the liquor license.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Christie. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. So that item passes unanimously. We'll now move on to item number 15. This is a hearing for solicitation number IFB-250002153, OEM and remanufactured printer and fax toner cartridges. It's an appeal of procurement director's decision. We do have 2 speakers, and I believe they're both participating remotely. And before we call on our speakers, Ms. Lesher, is there any presentation from staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think in order to really understand the appeal and the process, we do have Mr. Collins here, who is our procurement director. I'd like if he could to just give you a snapshot of where we're standing right now with this situation.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you,
Lesher. Mr. Collins.
Good morning, Chairman Scott and members of the board. For this particular item, it consisted of a invitation to bid where the award process is based on awarding to the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. I just want to walk through real quickly the system we use called BidNet because the information is relevant in this particular conversation. In BidNet, it electronically will capture the name of the entity or business submitting the bid. However, we have a 2-step process. The second part of the process is we ask for the company we will be awarding the contract to sign what we call the offer agreement. So there's a name of a supplier that submits the bid. Within their bid, they're required to sign a document called the offer agreement. The name on the offer agreement is the entity that we will do business with. It may not be the name of the company that submitted. The offer agreement dictates who we will do business with. In this particular case, a solicitation was issued October 27th, 2025. The system collected the information and we had a very good response, 9 responses. On November 25th, we published a notice of award, which is our standard process. I will point out to the board that the information on the notice of award was incorrect. It listed the name of the entity that submitted the bid, not the name of the entity that signed the agreement. We have since had training to correct that process. So moving forward, I do not anticipate having that same issue. So we've done training and corrected that. We received the protests, and the appellant protested that the name of the entity that submitted the bid could not provide the services that we were requiring. They were correct. However, the name of the entity that signed the offer agreement, which is in our instruction to bidders, provided all of the required documentation indicating that they could provide the services and met the requirements. Thus, their protest was denied. We recognized the administrative error. It was corrected when we reposted correctly the names of all the bidders and also who has signed the offer agreement. That's the background information. Staff is recommending, if I can, staff is recommending that based upon the fact that the recommended company that appears in item B submitted all of the required documentation indicating they can provide the products that are needed, was properly submitted. And our recommendation is to deny the appeal and to move forward with the award.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Any questions from board members for the procurement director? All right. Let's go then to our speakers. Our first speaker is Sam Shaw. Mr. Shaw is the director of the company making the appeal. Mr. Shaw, if you are on the line, you have 3 minutes to address the Board of Supervisors. Is Sam Shaw on the line?
Hi, can the board hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. I'd actually like to yield my time to Ash Shah, who's the president of Basics Computer Center Inc. He is right here on the same microphone, and he has the statement prepared.
All right. Our second speaker was Ash Shaw. Mr. Shaw, you have 3 minutes to address the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, the board members, and good morning to you all, and thank you for giving us your time today. We are calling in to appeal the award of IFB 2500021503 for OEM printer and fax toner cartridges. One of the conditions of the IFB was that the lowest reliable and responsible bidder must be authorized by HP. Office Park, the intended awardee initially, did not submit a letter of authorization from HP with the bid or later after multiple reminders by Pima County Procurement Department. Instead, Office Park suggests to award Group 1 to Central Jersey Office Equipment at the same prices bidded by Office Park. This is highly irregular as both these entities are completely different, and that amounts to collusion by two competitors. We have provided the documents to support this statement. So we humbly request that both these vendors be disqualified and the award for Group 1, original cartridges, be given to the next lowest bidder, which is us, Basics Computer Center Inc., who is qualified and has been supplying inks and toners to Pima County for the last 10 years without any incident or complaints. We rest my case.
Mr. Shaw, thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Shaw from board members? Supervisor Allen.
I am curious if you can address I'm not sure I entirely understood the allegation of collusion and the kind of back and forth communication that was alleged. And if you could just respond to that,
Certainly.
please.
Great question,
Thank you.
Supervisor. The communication between the Pima County Purchasing Department and the two suppliers, primarily the supplier the office supplier, since they submitted the bid and it was for a different company, my staff contacted them for clarification as to who was actually officially bidding. We have a document from the awardee that we've recommended, but because there's a discrepancy, we just wanted to be clear that the bidder understood that we would be honoring the company that signed the offer agreement. For the offer agreement, all of the submittals are time and date stamped electronically when you submit the bid. Our records show that all of the certifications required that you are an HP distributor were submitted with the original bid in accordance to our solicitation requirements. We did not attempt to address the allegations of collusion. We had a clear respondent that followed our instructions and provided all of the documents electronically and their time and date stamped.
Thank you,
Maybe-
Supervisor Allen. Mr. Shaw, go ahead, please.
Yeah, on the bidder certification, item number 16, page 14, the contractor legal name states office staff, and the business also known as Central Jersey Office Equipment, which in fact is totally incorrect because Office Staff is a different company than the Central Jersey Office Equipment, and we have submitted the legal entity ID certification with the state of New Jersey as evidence. So they are two different companies. It is not that one is the legal name and one is the business name, as they are stating in the certification. So that certification itself should be considered fraudulent.
There exist two copies of the bidder certification submitted by the office house, and one of them is, and they're both signed and date at exactly the same time and date stamp down to the second. And they exist on the two BOSAR agreements for the initial hearings for this contract. And we submitted those documents as well. And so on the original offer certification, as Ash said, the contractor legal name claims the office pallet, and the business is also known as Central Jersey Office Equipment, which is kind of, they're claiming that the revised awardee is a DBA, but that is not the case. They're two different companies, and the signed offer agreement is, it was either doctored or fraudulent or something's going on because the facts don't match up to what the result of the appeal was.
Let's give Mr. Collins an opportunity to respond to those concerns. And for the board, that was, I think, the second Mr. Shaw who was weighing in at that point. It's a little difficult to navigate when we've got our speakers participating telephonically. So apologies to the board. Mr. Collins.
During the point where staff was communicating with the vendors because of the discrepancy in the names, additional information was submitted that we are not considering. In the initial submission, it was submitted with the name of the company we're recommending. But here's what I would like to offer to the board at this time. We feel that we followed the instructions and we have a lawful bid that can provide the services requested. So I want to change my recommendation to the board and provide two options. to award to the vendor we've recommended. However, to protect the integrity of our process, if it's being questioned regarding our integrity, we also recommend that the board can consider canceling the solicitation and rebidding it. We would rather protect the integrity of Pima County in lieu of awarding it to the lowest bidder in this particular case. But that's my revised recommendation.
Ms. Lesher, would you as the county administrator support the procurement director's revised recommendation?
I do. Thank you, Chair Scott.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Hines.
And thank you, Chair Scott, to, I think, some staff, that wouldn't cause a problem with regard to the need for the material or delay things in a way that would provide for difficulty for our operations.
We can have a stopgap measure and utilize another procurement method, a cooperative, and acquire the items until the item is solicited and awarded.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Mr. Collins, could you restate your two recommendations just to make sure the clerk has them?
The first recommendation is to deny the appeal and award the contract for item B to Central Jersey Office Equipment, the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. The option 2 is for the board to direct the procurement director to cancel the solicitation and reissue it.
Okay, I'm going to move that we close the public hearing and adopt the second recommendation that the procurement director has offered the board.
I will second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Hines. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Mr. Collins, for giving the board that recommendation that speaks to the importance of the integrity of our processes. We appreciate it. All right. And Mr. Shaw, thank you for your participation. If you have any follow-up questions, please direct them to the clerk's office. Okay, we're going back to the regular agenda. And item number 16 is approval of the consent calendar. I will move approval of the consent calendar as submitted.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Hines. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The consent calendar is approved unanimously. We're now going, still sitting as the Board of Supervisors. We're taking up item number 17, which is unfinished business addition of study sessions, and consistent with the request that Supervisor Allen made to the clerk prior to the meeting, we're also going to take up her addendum item, which is dates and times for Board of Supervisors meetings. And I think just to give you the opportunity to explain why this was an addendum item, I'm going to turn it first over to Supervisor Allen.
Thank you, Chair Scott. We added the addendum item to just ensure that we could have the discussion and decision about the two interrelated components, one being the addition of study sessions, but also the implications that could have around our regular meetings. And so that we could talk about them together because they are indeed inextricably linked.
And I appreciated that not only for the reasons that you stated, but I know that Ms. Lesher in her December 30th memo to the board on the topic of study sessions addressed the need for an item just like the one you put on the addendum. So let's open it up to discussion, concerns from board members. I will say if you go to Ms. Lesher's memo, I think she did a thorough and detailed job of laying out the questions that we need to consider. Go ahead, Ms. Lesher.
Chair Scott, I was simply going to point out the memo is actually from me and the clerk of the board.
Oh, my apologies.
Jointly.
Sorry, Ms.
So
Manriquez. Not used to getting memos from you, but Ms. Lesher gives us a lot.
Thank you.
On Fridays, Chair Scott.
Yeah.
It all comes out.
All right. right. So if it's okay with the board, unless there is anyone who has any introductory comments, we could go through these questions. If that strikes you as a good way to proceed, go ahead, Supervisor Allen.
I would love to do that. I just want to toss out sort of overarching goals, at least for me, that are guiding this discussion, are that we can, as a public body, that we ensure that the public can effectively engage. And so I think creating more opportunities for the public to be present at our meetings becomes then really important for getting that sort of feedback. And then I think also ensuring that we have spaces to really dig in on some of the complex issues that come to us. There's a lot of reports and substantive data that we get from staff. And I think oftentimes this venue is a difficult one for us to have discussions. Being in a line is not really the most sort of discussion-oriented format. And so I think the combination of study sessions and then also thinking through how to ensure that the public can really engage around our decision-making and be present for it, I think kind of the overarching principles underlying my perspective on these matters.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Mr. Chair,
Supervisor Christie.
we are addressing both the study sessions and a change of scheduling of the Board of Supervisors meeting at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, I won't address at this point the study sessions, and I'm keeping an open mind on all of the components of both the Board of Supervisors meeting and the study sessions. But I do want my colleagues to consider some things just as consideration. I'm not using as any kind of a wedge or a bulldozer to try to push an idea on, but just merely in this process that we consider them. The first consideration that I think is essential is a definitive accounting of the costs involved. I know there's been some kind of cocktail napkin. Well, I don't mean to degrade it like that, but just some off the top of our head discussions of the cost between extra staff time, parking, security, and I know there's a number of other items too that are involved in the cost. So I'm asking my colleagues to consider that. Secondly, there's been a custom established as far as the schedule of the Board of Supervisors meeting. I think it's fair to say that it's those who care about coming before the board or having business before the board or attending the meetings, speaking to call the public. I think it's well established that the public knows that, as has been the custom and has been the scheduling for many, many years now, probably, I would have to say probably always, that the public meetings, the Board of Supervisors meetings have always been the first and third Tuesday of the month at 9 a.m. Now, if we're going to massage that or reschedule that whole thing, that's going to take a learning curve by the public to become aware of that, as well as for it to be publicized, and as well as it for the general public to know about it. So I'm worried that people will still show up, as they do if they have business before the board, as they always have, to come to the board the first and third at 9 o'clock in the month, and they could potentially come here and there would be no meeting. So that I would ask that be considered as well. And since, and the third item for consideration, merely consideration again, is since the pandemic, we have remote participation, and that is always available to the public, not only for participation in a phone-in, but to view the proceedings on YouTube or the county channel that provides it. So we didn't have that prior to the pandemic. We have that now, and it's been utilized quite often, as well as remote participation. So those three considerations: the cost, the custom that's been established for the schedule, and the remote participation, I think should be looked into as we proceed with these discussions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Christie. Any other initial comments from board members before we move into the questions outlined in the county administrator's memorandum? Right. So the first question, they're broken up into three categories: study sessions, time of day of regular meetings, and study sessions and meeting day of the week. The first question, 1A, should study sessions be held once a month? Supervisor Allen.
Yes.
Okay. and I concur. Any other comment on that first question?
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christie.
I have no problem with a monthly study session. I think the time of it is it going to be a deciding factor? And also, can it be determined if it is scheduled that as we proceed to that date of the study session, at some point there might be evidence that we don't need to have a study session, that it can be retracted. Also, what would the parameters be? Is there going to be a quorum required, or who's going to attend? I think it should be strictly to the supervisors. No staff should be in a proxy situation in those study sessions. But if the board wants to have one per month, I would certainly be open to that, as long as there's flexibility in the timing as well as the hours. I would think that a study session would be most effective during the working day. That would be my preference if we go the monthly, once a month study session.
Thank you, Supervisor Christie. And Mr. Brown, just to affirm this, study session is a meeting of the board, so it would require a quorum of members to go forward.
A quorum is generally, Chair Scott, generally required to take action. If the study session were simply to discuss and share information, if there were not a quorum, I believe the study session could still continue because there would be no action taken.
But to Supervisor Christie's other point, it wouldn't be appropriate unless they were called upon by a member for staff to participate in a proxy role.
I think that's correct. I think that's at the discretion of the board to set those type of guidelines.
All right. Thank you for raising those issues, Supervisor Christie, and thank you for responding to them, Mr. Brown. Supervisor Cano.
Thank you, Chair Scott. Can we clarify that point with council? What does that mean? And perhaps it's a question for my colleague from District 4. What are you wanting to ensure that staff not act as a proxy for? Which staff in particular?
If, for instance, you had something that was conflicting with the study session and you were unable to attend, I don't think it would be appropriate for someone of your staff, I don't know who, to fill in your place and act as you being the supervisor.
Right. So thank you, Chair Scott and Supervisor Christie. I share that same sentiment. But to be clear, county administration or department staff can participate in that meeting. My interpretation of a study session is it's this same exact format here with staff on the other side, and we're engaged in an informational conversation, presentations requiring no action is able to continue, right? And so I just wanted to clarify which staff we were talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Cano.
And Chair Scott,
please go ahead.
On the question of am I supportive of an additional study session, or a study session once per month? Yes. And I would like it to be on the same day of an existing Board of Supervisors meeting. And I would prefer for it to be probably no later than a start time of 2 or 3 p.m.
So you're artfully moving us into the second question, which is, should study sessions be held immediately preceding one of the 2 regular meetings? And your preference is that be the case. No, I think what he's saying is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Supervisor Kano, I think what you're saying is that we'd have study sessions preceding a regular meeting, and you're also, by implication, proposing that that regular meeting occur sometime after the study session, late afternoon or early evening?
Yes.
Okay. Supervisor Hines.
So in answer to the first question, yes, once monthly study session. And I was going to add and echo the sentiments from District 5 that preferably not a third meeting out of the month, but something that aligns with existing meetings. And I also favor an evening start time of 5 p.m. So a 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. start for a study session would make sense.
Can you repeat those times, sir? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sorry. I mean, if we do board meetings in the evenings, a 5 p.m. start, and then a 2 or 3 p.m. study session
Gotcha.
start whenever we have the monthly.
Okay. All right. Supervisor Kano and Supervisor Hines moved us into the second question, which is appropriate because I think there's a consensus that having study sessions once a month is a good thing. And they're both expressing the desire that study sessions be held immediately preceding one of the two regular meetings, and that we would then move one of our two regular meetings to an late afternoon, early evening start time. Any comments on that? Supervisor Christie.
The late afternoon, early evening start time, we've had meetings that go 7, 8, 9, 15, 25 hours. If you start at that time at 5:30, what's the end time?
Well, I don't believe there would be a designated end time.
That's my problem, and that's why my suggestion is that we maintain the schedule of the regular Board of Supervisors meeting at its customary time, and then schedule a study session over and above it in addition to the two normal board meetings. What time would be appropriate? Any time that we could start in an expeditious manner, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, or 2 or 3 in the afternoon, but certainly be done well before 5 or 6.
Let me offer something, and I've actually shared this with the county administrator when she was following up with individual board offices as to how we might proceed. I agree that if we have once a month study sessions, that they should precede a regular meeting, which would then mean that we would have one of our regular meetings be have a late afternoon or early evening start time. That would allow people who find it difficult to come to a board meeting during the regular workday to be able to do so. However, I also think that there are members of our community who would find it difficult to make it to a late afternoon or early evening board meeting. I think a lot of members of who we saw from, for example, the Catalina Foothills Association and Tucson Mountain Association, I would bet some of those members are more comfortable with the traditional board start time. So what I was thinking, and what I proposed to the county administrator when she was polling us as individuals, is that we, the non-study sessions meeting day continue to be at 9 o'clock. And that way we would have a one regular meeting that started at the regular time, but we would have another regular meeting that started in the late afternoon or early evening. That would give all members of our community the opportunity to attend board meetings at times that fit with their own personal schedules. So I wondered what my colleagues thought about that. Supervisor Hines.
So I think, just as a student of human behavior in medicine, I think patterns are important. And to my colleague from District 4, I agree there's going to be whatever changes happen, it's going to be months before that kind of gets kind of ingrained in the community with the media who cover us, all that. I think if we're bouncing back and forth between like a 5 p.m. meeting and a 9 a.m. meeting in the same month, that's going to create some chaos and make it a little bit harder to adjust to whatever our changes are. So I would favor that whatever we do, we keep it the same time, at least for the first few months to see how things are working and not go back and forth, because that will cause some people some serious issues. And again, the pattern of 9 a.m. has existed for decades. I get that. But if we are going to start a pattern of, aligning more with or kind of mimicking a bit what the city of Tucson does, they have a similar kind of, we're talking about a similar sort of situation, an evening meeting, afternoon study session. I think it's important to stick with that to then get that new pattern established. Otherwise, it should be really complicated.
Supervisor Kano.
Thank you, Chair Scott. And to complicate things, I don't want a Tuesday night meeting the same time that our colleagues across the bridge are meeting. And I feel as though a Wednesday is bad because often times, so I would prefer a Monday if we're going to look at another day. And so I want to throw that out. And the more I've been thinking about this, Administrator Lesher, can you remind me, since I'm the newest member of the board, what is our planned budget hearing process for the spring? How many budget hearings do we have? And is there kind of can we try something in the spring with that budget hearing process of maybe perhaps doing those in the evening and seeing how it works? And if it's kind of a bit of a compromise to see what that participation can look like and kind of see what that cadence is like. Because right now those happen at the regularly scheduled meetings, their presentations, it's study session like, right? What do we have planned right now? And I see our director is also here.
Thank you. Chair Scott and Supervisor Kano, yes, Mr. Quaron is here. We have not fully fleshed out what all that will look like. As you know, the clerk has been polling the board to see when we might be able to get together and have a retreat with the board and look at all of the issues related to the budget, including when those public hearings might be held. But Mr. Quaron, I think we've got some dates in May that we have tucked in, or March.
Yeah, Administrator Lesser, Chair Scott, Supervisors, Happy New Year. Thanks for having me here. The two dates that we have on the calendar right now that are known budget presentations are February 17th, that's the strategic plan overview, and then March 17th, that's the presentation of our CIP. Our recommended budget is due to be sent out to the Board of Supervisors on April 17th. May 19th is the tentative budget adoption as of today, with final adoption in June, with the adoption of the tax levy then coming August 17th, 2026. So that's the current schedule, notwithstanding any additional meetings requested by either the administrator or the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Mr. Quaron. If any follow-up to that, Supervisor Kano? Supervisor Hines.
So I think, and thank you, Chair Scott, I think hearing what we're hearing, we could, and I agree with not doing something in parallel with the city of Tucson, because we have a problem with media coverage. Literally, we both use the same channel, right, to broadcast this for people who want to watch it in that manner. So I don't know how that would work. So I think that makes a lot of sense. We could avoid that by moving to a Wednesday, but if my colleagues want to stick with a Tuesday, we could simply do the second and fourth weeks of the month and start that in February. Because that gives 5 p.m. meetings, whichever meeting of the month we add a 2-hour study session to before one of those, start at the second week of February, and to give the clerk's office and everyone time to kind of, adjust. I think that would be a reasonable place to start this.
Supervisor Allen.
I also think that I like the Tuesdays. I just don't like the conflict with the city of Tucson, the town of Marana, TUSD, who else? South Tucson. We all meet at the same time. Shifting to that other pattern of the second and fourth, I think, is a great way to kind of work around that and to keep us on the Tuesdays, and because those are sort of a sweet spot during the week. And I on this question of time of day, I think I also agree that I think it would be confusing. I do get that there's I know a lot of people don't like to drive as soon as it gets dark. I also think that if we move both meetings to the evening, I think that consistency is going to be helpful for people. And I think it will be confusing to have meetings that start 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. I think to Supervisor Christie's comment about the length of time of our meetings, I know for me that as my bedtime starts to get closer and closer, that I think that we will speed up our meetings.
Why don't we do that now?
Well, I think the creation of the study session actually pulls quite a few items off of our regular agenda and puts them into a different space, so that the meeting agenda for the regular meeting then becomes much more focused on the decision-making items as opposed to the discussion items, which move to the study session. So my hope is that gets us sort of through the agenda quicker.
Supervisor Kano.
So I'm going to make a suggestion that we start. Did you say the second, Supervisor Hines, second and fourth? Second and fourth weeks, beginning in May. I'm not comfortable going any sooner than that. There's going to be a lot of time for adjustments that are going to be needed. So second and fourth Tuesdays in May, study sessions would start at 1 p.m. with a 5 p.m. start time of our regular meeting. I believe that would allow us to have the call to the public section, a good hour and a half, people to get here, allow us to have that time frame to get started around 6:30 for the items considerations. I personally want to be done with these meetings no later than 7:38, and that will be I'm stating that goal right now. Feel that delayed implementation is really important. I recognize the desire to do it sooner, but we've got to do this right, and this is a big change. And I do think we need to revisit this, I should say, at the end of the year to see if it's worked, and recognize that the clerk should also, as part of the budgetary process, be working with the administrator to, in the budgetary process, not hold back on the additional requests and resources needed to implement the changes that the board is asking. These meetings function only with the support of the staff in our clerk's office. And I want us to ensure that the public is supported. They will be through the clerk's office. I do not want the public to be charged for parking when they are coming here. I want some form of validation to be offered. And if they are in our El Presidio parking garage, I want our garage to be open, and I want security there. And somehow we're going to have to figure that out in the form of a motion, but that's my recommendation.
So what you're proposing, Supervisor, is that we move to at the beginning of May, move to meeting the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, with one of those meetings being study sessions that begin at 1, and regular sessions that begin at 5, and all regular sessions beginning in May, not just the study session day, but the non-study session day the meeting would begin at 5. All right, let's discuss that, because I'm seeing some nods from other supervisors with regard to Supervisor Kano's suggestion. Supervisor Christie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I still would like to have some kind of analysis from the clerk as to what it would cost as far as overtime or keeping staffing on in the evening, and security and parking and all of those cost issues. And is it really going to be cost effective to do this, or is it going to be quite a bit of expense that may not guarantee the outcome that everybody's trying to obtain? I think it's essential that we do talk with staff about it. They put in long hours. They'd have to be here whenever we'd have these meetings, but it would be essential, I think, that we have a cost accounting on it.
So to Supervisor Christie's question, other than the information that was in the memo to the board from the clerk and the county administrator. Anything that you can respond to now, or do you need some additional time to get into what he's asking about?
Chair Scott and members of the board, at the last meeting, or when this was discussed, there was a question about the cost. I pulled those departments with which we work the most for this: facilities management, communications, information technology, our security manager. And the cost that you have, that we've put in here regarding additional about $300 per meeting, with about maybe $200 per meeting for security, would be the impact we believe in parking and security. The other positions we've discussed will simply be a scheduling matter that as we have, I believe all 5 incorporated jurisdictions also meet in the evening. We've been chatting, see how that works, about how the scheduling would be so that people come later in the day on the days of board meetings. So that's the only, what we've seen has been identified in this memo. I think the greater challenge will be to the clerk of the board, and appreciate I think we're waiting till May allows some time to add additional staff to come back and see what we might need to do with the budget to provide the additional personnel. Because while many of the other positions we work with might be salaried, they are not necessarily in the clerk's office. And I believe in a memorandum of December 1st, the clerk did provide some additional costs, but you may have additional information. But I think you've delineated what the cost might be in that memo. But the greater challenge will be in her office.
Ms. Manriquez, anything you wanted to add with regard to Supervisor Christie's inquiries?
Chair Scott, board members, if our office does have to hire additional staff, there may be additional costs to reconfigure our office space to include that additional staff. Without knowing, right now it's still an unknown if there's going to be changes and if we're going to need additional staff. And also too, our office right now are open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Will we be required to stay open 8 to whatever time the meeting's in the evening? Because then that would add additional cost.
So your question is not just in terms of staffing of the meetings, but whether there'd be an additional requirement that the clerk's office itself be open.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Supervisor Christie, any follow-up to the input from the clerk and the county administrator? No. Okay. Any other comments from board members?
Yeah.
Supervisor Hines.
Thank you, Chair Scott. I think given that most other jurisdictions already have this type of format in terms of their meetings, I know that we can do this. I think the most cost-effective thing, even if it does take a little bit more money, is to be as available as possible to the people that we work for. So I think it's important that we do this. I also think May seems like a little bit long. Maybe February is too short, but maybe we could split the baby there and do like April or something. But I wanted to ask Administrator Lesher and also Clerk Manriquez what they think about the timeline, because I would like to get if you agree with this, I would like to have it happen as soon as possible.
So to that question, if you're able to respond to it, what would be the earliest that both the county administrator and the clerk think that we could move to this new calendar? I know that we would have to, perhaps as soon as the next meeting this month, consider a new schedule of meetings, because we've already adopted the schedule for 2026. But what would be the earliest date that you all think we could get this underway? Supervisor Cano had proposed May. Supervisor Hines is asking if we could do it a month before that.
Chair Scott and members of the board, I think the longer runway that allows us to let the public know that the meeting time has changed and things like that will be helpful. Getting a little runway so that we can work with staff is fine. I think once again, the challenge is going to be in the clerk's office, in that moving to the new schedule may require additional staff. And there is a period of time by which she'll be, no, you can speak for yourself, but adding HR, adding personnel takes a little bit of time getting through the need to survive human resources, I believe I heard earlier.
I really set the tone.
But that's, but that would be the piece. It's just any runway. What we have been chatting about is, should the board move to an evening schedule, how we can detail other personnel to be helpful through that. But I think May does provide us some time, to really make sure we're ramped up appropriately. But I think how long would we need to?
Chair Scott, board
Yeah.
member, just so everybody is aware, we currently have a vacancy in our office that we have had difficulty filling. And it has been at least going on 2 months now that we've had difficulty filling. That would do support for board meetings. So just so you are aware that we do have difficulty filling the positions and keeping people in our office.
Okay. Any follow-up from board members on that input? Supervisor Hines. I'm sorry that was you.
I would just say I'm like, in terms of whatever the clerk's office needs to make this happen, I favor doing. And so if you need to offer bonuses or incentivize in other ways or be very creative with timing, obviously not everybody is salaried, but certainly on these particular days when the meetings are late, people don't have to be there at 7:30 in the morning. They can come in at 1 or 2 so I think just liberality all around in terms of whatever you need for your office, we'll sign the check, that kind of thing, with the permission of the majority of the board, of course. But I think whatever the clerk's office needs, I'm willing to listen to and provide.
To that point, Ms. Lesher, I know that you and the deputy county administrators work on addressing hard to fill positions. Is this the kind of situation where that might lend itself to those structures that you already have in place for hard to fill positions?
Chair Scott, we'd be happy to meet and work with the clerk to look at those positions and see what salary adjustments might be needed to facilitate the hiring of those positions.
I'm going to tentatively suggest, based on the need for further investigation by both the clerk and the county administrator, that we proceed as Supervisor Cano has proposed, but with the hope that maybe we can do it sooner, as Supervisor Hines has proposed, depending on how we're able to move forward with those staffing and other challenges. It would be. Yes.
I will second that.
All right.
We should probably restate it for the clerk.
Well, the motion is that we would begin meeting on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, starting in May, and that our meetings would shift to begin at 5 p.m. Starting in that month. And which of those 2 Tuesdays would be best for study sessions? My own belief is it would be the second as opposed to the fourth. All right. So did you get that, Ms. Manriquez?
But
go ahead.
Isn't there a caveat there depending upon the cost involved analysis?
There is.
And that may not happen.
That's why I said that's what I would tentatively propose. That's what I would tentatively propose.
With that caveat.
Indeed, because if they were to come back to us and say, for whatever reason, this is difficult to move forward with, then we could
reconsider.
We could reconsider.
So
anyone in the majority could move to reconsider.
Does Supervisor Hines still second that?
I think we should change it and then vote. Because I don't know what that is.
What I'm saying is that we should direct the administrator and the clerk to move forward with that goal in mind, with the hope that we could do it sooner. But to Supervisor Christie's point, if they were to come back and say, this is not doable, then I think what they would be telling us is what Supervisor Cano was saying he wanted to consider at the end of the year anyway, which is, was this not just achievable, but did it meet the ends that the board had? Go ahead, Supervisor Hines.
And Chair Scott, I guess to Administrator Lesher, is this doable in May?
Chair Scott, I believe it is.
In that case, I would like the motion not to be tentative. Let's just move it and I'd vote on it. And if we need to make some changes going forward, we put it on another agenda.
I'm very comfortable with that.
Okay.
Supervisor, yes. All right. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimously. Under study sessions.
Chair
Oh,
Scott,
go ahead. I'm
excuse
sorry,
me.
Ms. Manriquez.
Just for clarification,
Please.
can you please repeat who made the motion, who seconded it, and repeat the motion so I
Okay,
can.
I made the motion. Supervisor Hines seconded it. It was to move forward with the goal of beginning regular meetings on the second and fourth Tuesdays, starting in May, with the second Tuesday being a study session day that would start at 1, correct? And then the regular session would start at 5. The fourth Tuesday would be regular session, also starting at 5.
And then Chair Scott, so for the second meeting, the study session starting at 1, will there be an end time?
4 or 5.
Yes.
No. For the regular sessions, right? We just determined that
Yeah, you're starting the regular session at 5, so we're going to do study session from 1 to 4:30, 1 to 4, to give staff time to, because we would need time to change out the meeting schedule and, do a little bit of.
4:30.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, is there some kind of affirmation that we won't be here till midnight?
Well, I think it's Supervisor Allen's bedtime. She's going to hold us all.
The alarm will go off saying that I need to go to bed.
I could just see us going on and on and on.
No.
Well, as somebody who worked in TUSD, and I don't want to give Mr. Brown PTSD from his TUSD time, I have those concerns myself. But I think Supervisor Allen made a very important point, and it's touched on all the memoranda that we've gotten, which is that a lot of the things that take up time during regular sessions are now going to be moved to study sessions.
And I would just add, Chair, and our human circadians will help with this, because there will be meetings in the winter where we will start the meeting and it will be dark already. We're close, right? So our brains we're not going to want to hang out for 7 hours and talk. So
I'd just like to see how it's cut off.
Well, and I'm going to be a devil's advocate. I mean, part of this change is going to be that we may confront difficult moments where this room is going to be packed the way we've seen over the last year. And I am not going to limit public comment. I am not going to cut off public debate. A part of making this accessible is sitting here, doing our due diligence and listening. So, I mean, I don't know, Supervisor Christie, I don't want to be here at 10 o'clock either, but if our work requires that, that's what is expected of us.
I agree with you, and I have no problem listening to the public talk and call to the public. What I do have a problem with is how my colleagues go on and on and on and on.
Okay.
Well, thank goodness you're always so concise. All right. So that was the motion. Any further clarification, Ms. Manriquez?
So it's safe to say study sessions 1 to 4:30. Obviously, the board can, if they finish sooner, the meeting is done sooner than with the regular meeting starting at 5. Okay.
Yes.
And then the location, the study sessions are going to be held in this room as well?
Well, that was something that Supervisor Allen alluded to in terms of having discussion. I think they could be held in this room if there was some furniture that was brought in that lended itself to that kind of dialogue that you're talking about. But let's discuss that.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Supervisor.
Let's throw in another caveat in the evening meetings or the regular board meetings, that there be no executive session.
Well, oftentimes executive sessions are requested
Very lengthy.
Are requested by the county attorney's office for the statutory reasons that we have them. So I don't think Mr. Brown's going to agree to that.
Chair Scott, I just wanted to mention that we can work executive sessions before 5, potentially schedule them at 4. So when we get to the rest of the meeting, it's not interfering with the time that we have the public here.
Oh,
Start at 5. That means we'll be done with the executive session by 10.
I have a
Supervisor Hines.
This is a little whimsical, but I'm curious from the attorney's perspective, do we lose quorum if more than 2 members of the board are asleep? But present. Probably, right? Okay.
Chair Scott.
Yes, sir.
I do believe we can do executive session as part of that study session period. Some jurisdictional partners do that. And I don't see why we can't use this room if we want to do the retreat style room that we did in the courthouse and ensure that the public can still have some seating and have that layout. That's not a horrible option. But I just think it poses another logistical option, the logistical challenge, I should say, since it's a difficult, it's two different spaces and puts more burden and brings up a point too for our administration of what do we want this room to be as we master plan this building, and how do we want to have it be multi-purpose as well. So that's just my feedback.
Appreciate that. Supervisor Allen.
We could also pull some bar stools up around this, that'll get us in a much more familiar tone. So I do think that Supervisor Cano's comment around just sort of thinking long-term about as this building gets renovated and worked on, thinking about long-term, the appropriate format. I also would ask the administrator in working with IT, the clerk's office and others, that if the copper room, for example, is a viable option, then to just kind of explore what some options might be so that study sessions actually have us sitting around a table as opposed to sitting in a very subtle arc.
So we passed that motion, and it seems to me that motion addressed, if you go to the administrator's memo, her questions 1A and 1B, but also her questions 2A, 2B, and 3A. It seems to me the only questions we haven't addressed are 1C and 1D, which is, can any member of the Board of Supervisors or the county administrator request specific items be put on the study session agenda? I would say yes.
I would agree.
Okay. Anybody disagree with that? Okay. And then should study sessions be open to the public and allow for public comments? In other words, should there be a time for call to the public during study sessions as well as during regular meetings? What's the sense of the board on that?
I'm just throwing this out, maybe, Mr. Chair, maybe the more opportunities for the public to speak either at a study session or a Board of Supervisors session will give adequate time in both venues, and it may cut down a whole bunch of people at one, where you could spread them out over two if they so desire.
So what you're saying, Supervisor, is that the board has adopted rules for call to the public. It's an hour, 3 minutes per speaker, but if there are 20 or more speakers, then it goes down to 2 minutes per speaker, and we can extend that beyond the hour, which we've historically done. So what you're saying is if we allowed that during study sessions and regular meetings, that would not only afford a lot of opportunity for public comment, but might make sure that there's not a ton of it in any one meeting.
Agreed.
Okay. Supervisor Hines.
I would just say that I don't know if there is the same need because we aren't taking any formal action in the study session, and because a board meeting with a formal hour plus long call to the public is about to happen at 5 or 5:30 or whenever that falls. I don't think there's the same need to do it at a study session.
Okay.
That there would be, as obviously a place where we're taking action. And if there's an item in the study session that someone wants to talk about, they can simply they can do it before we could take any action on it anyway at one of the board meetings.
Thank you for that. Any other input on that question about having a call to the public option during study sessions?
Do we need a form of a motion on that?
Go ahead, Supervisor Hines, if you wanted to make a motion.
Well, no, I was going to make a
Oh, you were
motion
going to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that there be opportunities for call to the public at both study session and the regular board meeting.
Is there a second to that?
Could we have staff maybe talk, like, maybe have more discussion about this and then figure this out later? Or we can
Yes.
figure it out either way, but because I'm not comfortable moving that now.
Thank you, Supervisor. And perhaps we could look into what our other jurisdictional partners are doing. I don't know. I think not only does the city of Tucson have study sessions, but I think the towns do as well. And maybe some of the school boards, Pima Community College, I'm not sure, maybe finding out if they're building call to the public into those study sessions. Do you know from your time with the city, Supervisor Cano, do they have call to the public during study sessions? They do not. Okay. All right. So is the board comfortable with having staff look into how that's handled around the region and then readdressing it?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, with just one item in mind, I think the thrust of the discussion I was hearing about the need to have these new meeting schedules and evening meetings was to allow more participation with the public and giving them the opportunity to address the board. I think the more opportunities for the public to do that, the better. And if we have a study session with public comment and Board of Supervisors with public comment following that, we really achieve that interaction with the public.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Cano.
Chair Scott, I don't disagree with you. I do want us to have staff explore the inquiry about what other jurisdictions do. We're going to run into, when we open that Pandora's box of individuals speaking at one or both, if we have 100 people, they want to speak at both the call to the public in the afternoon and the call to the public in the evening, there's going to have to be, we're going to have to make that determination. And so I don't disagree with you, but there's going to be somebody's going to get upset in that process. And I feel like if there's precedent of one, the study session for me is an opportunity for us to provide guidance to staff on internal issues, get the preparation going that we need to advance policy, and then be prepared for the policy discussions in the evening that should be vetted at that point to be able to move things faster. So I hear you, and if there are other jurisdictions that have it at both, certainly willing to support your motion at another time.
And Chair Scott,
Supervisor Hines.
I also think the public is not shy. I think that they will let us know what their opinion is of this. And if they feel that, if we following the model of the city of Tucson, having a study session be dedicated to, deep dives into things and presentations and internal discussions like my colleague from District 5 just stated, if that's a pattern, if they don't want that and they want, we'll hear that from them because we're not doing this until May. So we don't have to do this today.
Okay. Any other comments on both agenda item number 17 and the addendum item from Supervisor Allen? All right. Well, I think we had the motion, and there's a clear understanding of how to proceed. Thank you to my colleagues for this wide-ranging discussion, and Supervisor Allen, thank you for making it even more wide-ranging by adding your addendum item. All right. So let's go back to the regular agenda, and item 19. We heard during the beginning of the meeting that the County Attorney's Office has requested this item be continued to our meeting of February 3rd. Let's go to item number 20, final plat with assurances. I'll move that item.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Hines. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Oh, I'm sorry, Supervisor Cano. Did you have a discussion for number 20?
Yes, I did.
Please go ahead.
It's my understanding that this is similar to a policy that we voted on a few weeks ago where these items don't have to come before the board. So I was curious if the administration could provide us with an explanation of why this is on the calendar.
Thank you, sir. Administrator Lesher.
Mr. DeBonis.
Mr. DeBonis.
Chair Scott and supervisors. So the board did approve that plats can be approved administratively. What we are working on is a Board of Supervisors policy, bringing that back to the board in which you actually delegate that authority to the Director for Development Services. So until such time that we bring that actual delegation document back to you, you will see these on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. DeBonis, Administrator Lesher, and Chair Scott. When is the anticipated timeline for those timeline changes?
I know that staff was working on a draft of that board policy and that there was some outreach with the clerk of the board. I will get a time frame and we'll send you a quick note on that.
Thank you. Appreciate those questions. All those in favor of adopting item number 20 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that item passes unanimously. We have a time certain item in 29 minutes. And so that we don't keep Mr. Quadron here while we're in executive session, we're going to do the monthly financial update. And then if we have time, I am going to propose that we take up item number 31 because we have people in the audience who are interested in that item. And I don't think it would pose any huge problems if we went into exec slightly afternoon. Would it, Mr. Brown? We don't have anybody coming in for that. Okay. All right. So Mr. Quadron, I'm sorry, Administrator Lesher, if you had any. Okay.
Thank you, Administrator Lesher, Chair Scott, members of the board. In light of your pending item, we will be brief. Go ahead and show the slides if you would, please. So our financial update for December with the actuals based of November 30th, we have continued financial stability is the takeaway for FY 25-26 based on the numbers that are presented in the presentation and in the memo that we sent maybe last week. Our general fund revenues continue to be projected to exceed the budget by about $726,000, buoyed by state shared sales tax increase of about $881,000. Combine that with our expenditures trending lower than budget by $6.8 million. Our departments are doing a good job of monitoring their spending thus far in the fiscal year. We have a fund balance projected to increase by $14.7 million through the actuals of November 30th, 2025. Now, you're going to start to see as we get into the more into the fiscal year, that number is likely to grow. And so our recommendation at this point is to apply the excess fund balance toward our FY 26-27 budget as we get into those presentations in February. And so I'm going to pause there, ask to change the slide, please. These are just the numbers when the slide gets there. There. So these are the numbers that correspond to the overview page. You can see their general fund revenues of $726,000 and then the expenditures of $6.8 million. You will also note a transfer in variance. That's really due to lower than budgeted indirect cost recoveries from our grants. And then we also have the transfer out that is exceeding our budget, and that's for unbudgeted operating transfers for the clerk of the court to finish renovations there. Leads to our $14.7 million increase in our fund balance for the forecast for December 2025. Next slide, please. So the next slide breaks down our fund balance reconciliation for 25-26, and then it gives you an estimate of 26-27. You can see there, it's the 13.9 is a little bit different from the 14.7, but that's because the board voted to use the $838,000 for our short-term crisis funding that was allocated. I believe it was last meeting. As we look towards 26, 27 and going back to our 17% of that estimate is 103.3 million. We're still to the positive 2.6 million based on the numbers through November. So that is a very positive sign for us as we move through the fiscal year. Next slide, please. This slide is a holdover. We have not used any contingency aside from the aforementioned HR pay strategies back in July. The last slide, I thought it prudent to include because this was a board ask within the last quarter of 2025, that is to bring forward fund balance policies in our wastewater, our library, and our flood control. We do have two of those policies that have been reviewed and approved both by the Regional Wastewater Advisory Committee as well as the Library Advisory Committee. And you may have seen some board mail as a result of one or more of these approvals. We are working on the development of a flood control policy, and we anticipate bringing all three of these before the board's consideration sometime in February. With that, Mr. Chair, that concludes my prepared remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Mr. Carlon, thank you very much. Any questions or comments for Mr. Carlon? Supervisor Kano.
Thank you, Chair Scott, Administrator Lesher, and Director Quadon. I want to reiterate the District 5's perspective that the prior board action of having a short-term crisis response was step one to figure out need in our community. And if there will be another effort to do that, we certainly will be working with the county administration to figure out if there's a pathway for that. I'm encouraged with the numbers that we're seeing. And so that's my way of saying we should be applying as much of the balance that we have toward next year's budget, but lots can change over the next several months as federal and state uncertainty happens. The legislature is going to start in just a few days, and we have no idea what's going to come down from that front as well. Having said that, I recognize that what is most important from the board perspective for our finance team is reassurance. And so this board will not go on a spending spree, but we do need to remind you that there will be continued need in our community, and we've got to stay focused and we've got to work together. And thank you for the update.
Thank you, Supervisor Kano. Any other questions or comments from board members? All right. Just because this item is also under finance and risk management, and Mr. Caron is here in case anybody had questions. I'm going to move item number 22, which is acceptance of the quarterly report on collections.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item passes 4-0 because Supervisor Hines had to leave the dais. Let's, in the time remaining, go to item number 31. This is unfinished business, contract with Axon Enterprise Incorporated. The board will recall that we had Sheriff Nanos here at our last meeting. He also followed up some of the questions that board members had with a memo that is attached to this item. There was also a memo from Ms. Lesher with reports of the discussions of the Data Governance Council that's in the IT department. Ms. Lesher, any introductory comments before I ask if there's any questions or discussion from board members?
Chair Scott and members of the board, I think just the highlights or to summarize the sheriff's request is this would be a contract that provided additional enhanced services with an extension of the contract for a lengthier period of time in order to lock in what he believes to be a lower rate at this point. And with that, the current contract is in place through 31 and would welcome any direction from the board about any amendments to or next steps. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lesher. Comments, discussion from board members? Supervisor Allen.
I think I don't want to underscore or reiterate the same comments that I made last time, but I think they are in many ways are still relevant, even with the additional information. I think, and my concerns persist even with additional information from the data governance recommendations and review. I think the reason that we are considering this is at the pressure of Axon to lock ourselves into a new contract, despite the fact that we still have 5 years left on this existing contract. That in and of itself, I think, could stand alone as a concern. I think there was I pulled a quote from the letter of opposition to this contract from the Pima County Deputies Organization that I thought was poignant, right? It says, they said, Axon body cameras already capture citizens in the worst moments of their lives, often from the inside of their homes. Axon gathers and stores our evidence. Axon programs are on our county phones. Axon supplies our less lethal equipment. Now the sheriff wants Axon to write our reports. Our public agency is rapidly becoming ensnared by a private corporation. Soon we will be so entangled with Axon that the consequences of breaking free will be too high. I appreciate that perspective. My understanding is that, and it is a shallow understanding, but that Axon contracts, we have contracts around multiple layers throughout the county in different departments and areas, and I appreciate that. However, this is adding on. I feel like it's become a bit convoluted, and it. In reading through this proposed contract, there is multiple layers of contracts embedded within it. And it feels a bit like a shell game, especially when they are trying to get us to extend a 10-year contract onto a contract that still has 5 years left. I am also just concerned about the content of this contract, layering on expansions of AI at a moment right now, and that is fairly unprecedented when we have a federal administration that is actively and aggressively seeking access to local governments and state governments' data and opening up access to data within areas that have previously been protected. IRS data has now been made accessible to ICE. There was efforts to get into Social Security data, Medicaid data. These are unprecedented times, and so I am very concerned right now about increasing our scope with Axon and what the consequences of that could be. For that and many other reasons, I do not support approving this contract.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Allen. Supervisor Christie.
I echo a lot of the concerns that Supervisor Allen has just verbalized. Maybe not in the certain categories that are concerning her, though I understand the concerns. There are a lot of red flags in this, a lot of discomforting issues, and they've already been discussed by my colleagues at the last meeting and again by Supervisor Allen. Very simply, in addition to all of the issues that were raised about the questions of this particular agenda item, I look at it in a couple of ways. We're being asked to come up with another $45 million for AI and 0% for the deputies. I think that really needs to be looked at, and I think that is a troubling issue as well. Second is a question I keep hearing throughout our society regarding AI. What jobs will be going away with AI if we would approve this? I think that has significant factors involved as well. I just think that the whole issue at this particular point with the discounted rate from the original price, to what is being promulgated as something that needs to be taken advantage of right now, or else, I think it reminds me of the car business. So I have a number of things that it just doesn't sound right. Maybe it could be analyzed or massaged or broken down in a more progressive manner about certain issues that are raised. I'm all in favor of quicker response times by the deputies, but there's just too much of it. It just doesn't sit right. It just doesn't feel right. And we have budgetary problems with the sheriff as it is. And again, it always seems that the deputies are second-class citizens when it comes to any kind of allocation of funds. So I won't be supporting this either.
Thank you, Supervisor Christie. Supervisor Hines.
Thank you, Chair Scott. And I think one of the best ways to get a discount on services is to have a competitive process. Actually, I really appreciate the sheriff bringing this forward. I am not going to support it, as I think I've indicated, but I have done some kind of a deep dive here. There is not just one vendor that exists that can do these things. We do need this stuff. I mean, we have to have this, multiple layers of encryption at whatever federal standard to make sure that this information is safe and people can't hack into it. We need to have these redaction services. We need to have most of this stuff. I even think triggered use of drones as not for surveillance, like a surveillance state thing, but pre-first responders, like some little thing can zip out there possibly faster than any human can get there to see, okay, this is a domestic incident. There's a weapon involved, appears that shots are being fired. We know we need to send 2 ambulances or 3 ambulances, a fire truck, no fire truck. So I do think even the drone thing is worthwhile, which we've already proved, I think. But finding out that there are 2 contracts within the sheriff's department, I believe 1 contract with the courts, which we have less control over, and another contract that covers public defense services, the legal defender, and of course the Pima County Attorney's Office, all have different lengths of term. Some of them end in 2031, some of them end in 2034. And, the last time we did a major contract, 2021 October, that was a sole source contract. And I looked at the responses from the sheriff's department. That means that was not a competitive process. And I'm not necessarily faulting that, because I believe in discussion with staff and meeting with some experts on this, this technology, it was very innovative and maybe something that there weren't a bunch of vendors at the time that we approved this. But I would favor, I would like to see our staff look at all of those issues, aligning the contract terms. I don't want to see a contract for this kind of like rapidly changing technology. Frankly, I don't think more than 3 years, but maybe three years with a couple of 1-year extension options. But no, I don't want 5 or 10-year contracts, because that's beyond the term of a board. That just seems strange to me, especially with the speed with which things are changing. But really, the most important thing, I believe, is to get all these contracts aligned and get all these services, extend an offer to the courts. I know we can't make them do stuff, but see if they want to participate. And for whatever subsections of the county that need these services, let's do one big RFP, have a competitive process, because that could save us potentially tens of millions of dollars over the next decade. For a lot of these services that are in fact essential for law enforcement. So I'm not going to support the item, but I would like to see us, again, take a step back, do a big kind of like a forest for the trees kind of analysis, and then see how we can maybe renegotiate some things here.
With that in mind, and I'm sorry, Supervisor Cano, any comments you wanted to make? Because I had a motion I was going to suggest, but we haven't heard from you yet. So please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair Scott. First, I want to thank the sheriff for bringing this item to our consideration. I have deep respect for Sheriff Nanos and the work that he and our entire department at the Sheriff's Department does to keep our community safe. I committed to the sheriff that I'd be open to this request. And since then, I've read this contract closely. I've consulted neutral third parties about this contract, and I've heard from residents. Based on that due diligence, I cannot support the extension of this contract today. let me explain why in plain terms. My vote today is not a vote against the men and women in uniform. I have deep respect for the work that our deputies do, and I'm grateful that when District 5 residents call 911, the Sheriff's Department shows up. Body-worn cameras are here to stay. Accountability tools are here to stay. And the county already has a contract in place with Axon for the next 5 years. I am committed to making sure that our deputies have the resources they need to keep the public safe and to do their jobs. So what is this vote actually about? It's about whether we lock Pima County into a broad, long-term contract out to 2036 at a time when technology, policy, and risk are changing month by month. It's about whether we authorize an additional $45 million without stronger safeguards and without a broader community conversation about why this expanded surveillance is needed and how this data will be protected. The proposed expansion in this contract involves new tools and technologies, drones, license plate reader systems, and AI software. Those tools create more data about where people are, who they are with, and what they are doing. And once that data exists, we don't fully control who can demand it. That puts civil liberties at risk, and it could expose our neighbors, our families, protesters exercising their First Amendment rights, and everyday residents who have done nothing wrong. That's the core issue for me. And here's the most important point. We are not in a situation as a county where we have to rush. The current contract still has years left. We have time to do this right, time to separate what is truly necessary from what is optional, time to be precise about what is new versus what is a continuation. I look forward to continuing to work with our sheriff on the fundamentals. Better pay, the right equipment, the staffing and the support our deputies need, and the tools that strengthen transparency without expanding surveillance beyond what our community can accept. If there is a narrower approach that maintains continuity while building stronger protections and building public trust, I absolutely will consider that in good faith. But this contract is not that. For those reasons, I also cannot support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Cano. And I join my colleagues in being unable to support the item. So I wanted to make this motion and see if it incorporates the concerns of the board. First of all, I would move that item number 31 be removed from the agenda and that we direct the county administrator to look into all county contracts with Axon to determine if and how those agreements can be consolidated. And the third part of the motion would be that the recommendations from the Data Governance Council that are outlined in the county administrator's memorandum to the board, that those not merely be recommendations, but that the county administrator examine if they can just be fully adopted as directives from the board. That would be my three-part motion.
May I ask a clarifying?
Absolutely, sir.
Possibly a friendly amendment. I would love to hear that we also include in that motion a direction to staff to additionally explore the potential for a competitive process in that consolidation.
I would welcome that as a friendly amendment, Supervisor Hines. Absolutely.
Perfect.
If,
and I second that.
All right, thank you. Discussion on the motion. Supervisor Allen.
Can you restate the third component of your motion?
That the recommendations from the Data Governance Council be considered by the county administrator as not merely recommendations, but directives from the board.
Can I add one more?
Please.
That is some scenario planning. In the case that data is requested legally, that we do not feel that we should share. And what recourse, what is our plan in those situations?
And I gather, Supervisor Allen, we would need some guidance as to that point, not just from the county administrator, but perhaps from the county attorney.
Yes, please.
All right. I would welcome that as an addition to the motion, if you're okay with that, Supervisor Hines. All right. Further discussion, Supervisor Christie.
Just a question and clarification to the county administrator. Could you tell us who serves on the governance committee?
Oh, that's a good question.
No. Sorry, Chair Scott, I'm sorry, Supervisor Christie. I'm afraid I don't have it at my fingertips. I'm happy to get a memo out to the board and let you know who's all on it. It represents a variety of departments led by Javier Baca from the IT department.
Thank you for that question, Supervisor.
But those participating on the board are department heads?
Primarily.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. So that was item number 31. We're going to come back to items 23 through 30, and you'll note that the clerk said that we should consider items 23 through 30 together. Just a clarification, Ms. Manriquez, from when we address these items, does that mean that the board should consider a motion that recommends approval of all those items together?
Chair Scott, board members, so that information came from the health department, that they should be considered together. So I'm not sure if it should be one motion or.
I'm sorry, Chair Scott, it does not need to be one motion. I think these are all of the recommendations that are coming out of ROSAC, the committee, the recommendations regarding the opioid use. I think the department felt that having the conversation about all of them together, since it's the same funding source and the RFP process, but it does not need to be one single motion.
Okay, and that's what I thought when I saw it considered together, that they wanted one motion, but that is not the case.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Supervisor Christie.
Can we do a little bundling perhaps? And we can consider in one fell swoop, items number 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30.
Well, Supervisor Christie, I'm going to have a number of questions about those individual items, and I gather some of my colleagues will. I have questions about almost all of them. So I was going to suggest that we address those after we come out of exec. But I just wanted to get the clarification on the clerk's note. Pardon me? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, let's see where that goes. But with regard, Supervisor Christie, to what you're saying about bundling, we might be able to do that with some of the other items before we go into exec. I would, for example, move items 32, 33, and 34.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Hines. Discussion.
Yes. Can we vote on them individually?
We can.
That would be my request.
Okay. I will move item number 32.
Second.
And I'll withdraw my original motion. Sorry. Thank you, Ms. Manriquez. I will move item number 32.
Yeah, second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Christie. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. I'll move item number 33.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Item passes 4-1 with Supervisor Christie opposed. Item number 34.
Second.
I'll move that item. Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion. All those in favor of item number 34 indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Item passes 4-1 with Supervisor Christie opposed. I will move item number 35.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Who was that? Supervisor Hines. I'll move item number 35 and seconded by Supervisor Hines. Discussion. All those in favor of 35 indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? 35 is approved unanimously. And then let's try and go through 36 through 40, but we'll do them one at a time. I'll move item number 36.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Christie.
What oversight of this program is going to exist to ensure that the applicant qualification, especially we want to ensure that the applicants are qualified for this program, but we're actually seeking to expand it. It's a kind of a difficult time to be expanding this particular expenditure when Washington is really making it a priority for safeguards. And I'm wondering, is it expeditious to be expanding it when perhaps we should make sure that what we have been doing already is being adequately safeguarded for proper applicants?
So Administrator Lusher, in terms of what the grant allows the county to do, if we accept those funds, how would you respond to Supervisor Christie's inquiry?
Chair Scott and Supervisor Christie, I think it's important to note that this is for retroactive funds. This is to receive funds from last October when they were going through the government shutdown, and subsequently when it reopened, dollars came in. Excuse me. So if you notice, it is to, while we initially received some of those funds, it goes back into October. So these are funds, that's that gap period of time that we thought, and we had always hoped we would be reimbursed when the government reopened. And that is what you have before you today.
But it does say to increase SNAP enrollment.
Right. Correct, which we have been doing over that period of time to look at how we work with SNAP enrollment, and that these are those dollars that would provide funding for that, for the enhanced services we provide.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So
Thank you.
Just to follow up on Supervisor Christie's question, we're continually trying to ensure that county residents who qualify for SNAP benefits are aware that they're qualified.
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion on that item? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Item passes 4-1 with Supervisor Christie opposed. I'm going to move 37, 38, and 39 together because they all address a similar topic. So I'll move those three items.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion. Was it Supervisor Kano? I'm sorry. I apologize.
I feel like it was, I heard this in stereo. It's probably both, but.
See the fun you get to have pretty soon? All right, I will move those three items. Moved and seconded by Supervisor Kano. Discussion. My only question to Administrator Lusher or whoever she wanted to direct it to, when I'm looking at all of these items, even though the title addresses COVID-19 specifically, if you look at the background material, it deals with all respiratory illnesses and prevention of all respiratory illnesses. Is that accurate?
Mr. Chair, yes, that is accurate. These are funds that are been authorized through the Department of Health Services and recently allocated to Pima County. And it, as you identify, all respiratory diseases and issues.
Okay. Any additional information that would be helpful for the board or the public?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of adopting those three items indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Items pass 4-1 with Supervisor Christie opposed. And then I will move item number 40.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Supervisor Allen. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Item passes 4-1 with Supervisor Christie opposed. With just 3 minutes late, I'm going to move at the recommendation of the County Attorney's Office, as noted under item 11, that the board go into executive session for legal advice and direction regarding an update on SB 1500. Is there a second? Pardon me?
Do you need a second?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Moved and seconded by Supervisor Hines. Discussion.
Just a question. After executive session, is there anything?
There's items 23 through 30.
Oh,
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. All in favor of going into executive session indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. We are in executive session. I think most of the questions that I have, you or Steve would be able to